Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for attending our session this morning on mobile marketing during a pandemic. This is part of the Proven CRM track of the Proven 21 User Conference of Can-Am Systems. And I am your presenter, Claro De Jerez, one of the Can-Am Systems trainers. And we would like to give our special shout out to the following partner sponsors whom you can view on the slide. We will first discuss a few housekeeping rules. So the usual Can-Am practice of muting microphones whenever we give public presentations in order to avoid background noise. Please raise any questions you may have in the chat box. We don't have a question and answer portion for this particular session, but I will make sure that all the questions that you have in the chat box will be replied to after the session. Attendees, of course, will be provided with a link to the presentation to their Dropbox. And at the end, there's just a little request that we have, which will be seen when we go to the end of the presentation. So what will be our agenda for today? Well, mobile marketing means mobile app. So definitely we will discuss the CRM mobile app. There will be a brief review of routes and some of the updates that have happened to that feature in CRM, both mobile and web, ever since you probably had your training some time back. Then we will cover referrals as far as being able to use the organization and contact records for them. We will go into entering notes, tasks, events, and expenses with the primary view of using the CRM mobile as the basis for entering them. Many of you are familiar already with the use of the web, so we will examine how to do the same things with the mobile app. And also, we will discuss a little bit about viewing notifications, which are now available not just in the web version of CRM, but also in the mobile app version. So how will we go about meeting these particular items in the agenda? Well, first of all, the thrust of this particular session will be to contrast the CRM features that you can find both in the web and in the mobile. And that is also covered over here, what can be done in both. And of course, we would just like to point out that there are still certain features that can only be done in the web. Okay, not yet in the mobile app, only in the web. Now, having said that, both the web version of CRM and the mobile version of CRM that you will have can be arranged to work in such a way that if you know how to do certain things properly, either on one and then on the other, you can be said to be able to optimize the work and use of CRM in order to help you meet your marketing goals and objectives. Okay, first of all, you will need to be able to know how to download the CRM mobile app. Now, there are two ways to download it depending on what type of phone that you have. Now, right now, the mobile app is available for the iPhone platform or iOS operating system and also for the Android operating system. So the next thing that we'll be covering is we will be jumping straight ahead into the CRM service as well as the mobile app. All right. So one of the first things that we'll be covering is the routes. So one of the things you have to remember is that routes are still created within the web application. Okay. So again, it's only created within the web application. So right now I have an active route showing up on my screen here, which is exactly the same route showing up here. So this is getting its feed from what route I have active within the web version of the CRM. Now, if I want to create, of course, a new route, I would have to click new route over here in order to get started with the creation. One of the things that you will notice when you create a new route in CRM is that you still create them, or the route that is, by going to the second box of your regions widget and do the same thing you've been doing all the time, which is to select by using the radio buttons here and clicking on them which particular contact you want to visit. Again, we have to remember that the CRM, as far as setting up the routes are concerned, are based on contact records rather than organization records. One of the things that has changed since the last time probably that you had training with on CRM routes is that nowadays immediately locked over here are the beginning and end points of your route. Now, if you remember from your training, this is simply the starting position or where or the address that you have placed in the address field of your own user record. Now, CRM is actually assuming that you're operating in a loop. You will end up where you will end up also where you started your visitation plan or your route. However, if that will not be the case for you, when you get to the bottom of the creation of the route, you can always remove this particular part here, which is the second occurrence of your address in the address field of your user record. Okay? Now the same thing goes after, for example, you have clicked on these and you have started setting up your route. Again, if you click optimize route, sometimes the C will change to a B. You're now relying on the intelligence of Google Maps in order to tell you, no, 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 not that way. There's going to be traffic at 3 p.m. over there, so I'm rearranging your route in order to optimize your visitation plan. Of course, we will let you because you will probably ask for it. What if I don't trust Google or I definitely disagree with Google on that particular change that he made and wanted? Then you can notice that when I am pointing my particular mouse within a particular address or stop, suddenly these two buttons appear, which actually implies I can override whatever arrangement Google wanted to give me. But the same things, like for example, you can save your route again by going here. You can still do it just like before when you had your CRM training. Okay, so just give it a name, click on save route, and it will actually go to your my routes. Now, right now, what I wanted to use is my particular route, which is my Toronto route. Then I can go here. That's why it is reflecting this particular Toronto route. Now, if I go to the mobile app, notice what will happen. Okay, here now is my route showing up within the mobile app. Now, the mobile app has some differences. For example, you could see your immediate contacts within that route. So in the case of route of letter B, okay, you could actually see the guys over here. So what will happen here is that you can be able to see, if you look at the right, that nowadays within the mobile app, you can also take a look and go straight to the organization record of the two individuals like Daryl and Bonnie that are your contacts within First Choice Management Group. So once you click on those, either here or here, then you can go to their particular contact records, in this case, the organization record. One of the things also that you might be interested in doing is to know if you can enter your route notes. So that probably is one of the questions you have going into using the route or the mobile app. I can definitely tell you you can. So notice that on the upper right hand corner, there's this link to route notes. So if you click on route notes, so the route personalities will be showing up. That is the equivalent of this particular feature within the web, which is this particular route notes over here. Okay, so there's Bonnie and there is, so what the difference is, however, in the route notes over here, it gives you all the notes that you have against that contact. Whereas because of the small size that's available within a mobile environment, then it only gives you for the mobile app the immediate note or route note that you had prior to your trip. Now, right now, if you're going to visit Bonnie in this case, okay? So right now, there's only one, the immediate note, route note, while here, it's actually giving you all the route notes that you've had connected with Bonnie, for example. Okay, there you go. Now, notice also that there's a feature within this particular web where if instead of filling the respective route spaces for Daryl and Bonnie, who both belong to first choice, if I actually click here and then enter my note here, then the note that I am placing against this organization would actually end up instead on the contact records, both of Daryl and Bonnie. So they will have a copy of exactly the same note if I put it within that organization there. Now, notice here within this particular item or the mobile app, okay? So you don't really have that feature present here in the mobile app yet, okay? So that's one difference that you will have between the two applications, web versus mobile. Now, another feature also, of course, that you can do with the web version would be you can be able to print the route if you wish to have a hard copy of the route over here. Now, how would you actually look at what other features there are in the app? Now, one of the features I want you to definitely see is how to be able to, for example, view your dashboard. So again, if you notice right here, I can click on that, and as expected, I will end up with my dashboard. Okay. Now, another thing also is that I have some particular widgets that are available in my mobile app that may be of interest to me, assuming that I'm a salesperson. So one of the things I'm definitely interested in would be getting to know how am I progressing with my goal. Okay. So my goal over here, notice that this particular version here is a smaller because of the size version of the widget of my goal within your particular web version. Right now, the web version is based on estimated revenue as the goal. However, we're also considering other parameters. And in fact, one of the questions we have at the end is if for some suggestions of what parameter you might want to have to show your salesperson instead of just their estimated revenue goal. Okay, so it's better for them to always have this top of mind because after all, at the start of the year, they committed to a certain quota, which is equivalent to this one, to this figure over here. Okay, so other things that you can see on the app would be you're being notified that there is exactly one task within that one task that you have. And notice also that you are able to view or there are shortcuts to certain favorite contacts that you have or favorite organizations that you have. Favorites are not available on the web version. So how do these favorites happen in the first place? So if I click here within the listing of organizations and I enter an organization record, notice that unlike the web version, the mobile version has a heart. Now, as you can already guess, if you click on the heart, that will make it now marked as a favorite. Therefore, if I go back to the very dashboard start and I looked at the listing of favorites over here for organizations, there you go, ABC development was added. Now, going back to the organization, notice that one of the features that you can do, which is very beneficial, especially if you need to be mobile and working with a very small screen, would be the ability to add a new record. Yes, you do not need to go back to the office just to open your web version of your CRM to be able to add a new organization. You can do it on the fly on your cell phone. So if I click on that, notice that an equivalent to the intake form of the web for creating organization records show up in here. Okay, so it's asking you for the same top level information that is typically asked of you when you are creating a record over here. And as you can probably guess, simply because the contact record features normally parallel the features of an organization record in the web, so it is also in the mobile app. So if I go to the dashboard, I can click on the two heads, which is the indicator for contact module. I will have all the contact records showing up. Notice also that I missed mentioning that for the organization record, you can edit the record in the mobile app. So you can do that both in the contact record, the editing, and also for the organization record. So if I click there, then I can already edit my contact record. And if I click on save, you are assured that the same edits would end up also as viewable in the contact record in the web when I go home, for example, later tonight. One of the features that I might be interested in is the listing of items here. So notice that for Bonnie, I have one particular event. So if I click on events, within Bonnie's record, I will see the same lunch appointment I probably created using the web version here. Now, if I go this time back to the dashboard and I click on one of the favorites, which would be Crawford adjusters, and if I go down further, I would see that there's exactly one task available or outstanding right now for Crawford. So if I click on the same thing in the app or in the mobile app, then I would see that particular item that I have. I can open it further. And if I have accomplished this particular task that I set myself, which is to prepare 1 hour, let's say preparing a particular proposal for my meeting with XYZ company, then the minute that I consider this task complete, I can click mark complete, which is the same process you also do with tasks if you are instead in the web. So it doesn't matter even if this was created in the web, I can still mark it as complete over here, and the same completeness would be reflected in the web version of the same task record. So notice also that for both the organization record and in the web, you would be able to see phone numbers and the email addresses upon the condition that you filled up the fields for this. One of the advantages of the mobile app, precisely because it's a mobile app, is your ability to be able to use Google Maps to give you the turn-by-turn directions if you are wishing to visit this particular contact. Okay, so that's one advantage that you have in the mobile app that's not present, of course, within the web version over here. The same star system, which gives you an idea of how much referrals showing up here. However, the details are not really available here. They're more available if you view for example, the organization record of Crawford within the web over here. Okay, so the same number of stars would show up, but if you remember, within the record, if you click on there, the stars will actually reveal more information as far as the amount of estimated revenue referrals Crawford has given your particular company. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back to this particular portion here. Now, one of the items I also wish to bring to your attention is this particular notification icon, the bell, which is also present here within as a notification icon over here in the web. Now, if you remember, and if I click here, normally what gets notified is if somebody makes changes to any record, contact, or organization where I am the salesperson, I will definitely get one of the numbers within the bell. Okay. If, for example, also, for those of you who are company admins, if you used this feature of CRM where you could actually flag or detect inactivity occurrences. Let's say, for example, you wish your salespersons to at least visit or have a touch point with a particular contact every 30 days. And for one particular contact of one of your salesperson that was exceeded, that threshold was exceeded, you will also get a notification. Well, he will get a notification in his notification bell. I, for example, if I am the manager of that person or the company admin, I will also get a similar notification in my own bell. Okay, and this notification over here, you have to populate it with the number of days, because this number of days of notification here, they form the threshold which will sort of ring the bell, okay, figuratively. And the same bell, as you noticed, would also be present here. Okay. Now, some of the other things that you could actually do would be, if you noticed, if I go into a particular, let's say, contact record, this time contact record instead of organization record, I can go to the bottom part here and then create my notes straight from the mobile app. So I will use the add, and you can already imagine how the rest would happen. Okay, so other items, for example, that you may want to see would be, let's look at a particular organization record. Let's look at Crawford again. In the case of Crawford, because I'm actually faithfully using the expense tracking feature of CRM, which you probably already know here, can be found by opening a record and then going into accounting, see the tracking of expenses. That's the same thing that's showing up here. Okay, so I could actually track my expenses by clicking add. So far for Crawford, I haven't placed any particular expense record against the Crawford organization record. Okay, so you're beginning to see now that if you start playing around, and I do encourage you to do the same thing I'm doing right now, have my CRM and my phone showing up on my computer, meaning the web version of CRM and the phone version of CRM showing up side by side. So I encourage you to actually play around and see what can be done in one that the other cannot do. You can see that there's a significant number of overlaps in what can be done in both. Of course, having just provided the CRM mobile app just recently, we're still improving it, and it's our goal to make sure that as much as humanly possible, based on the limited square footage available in a phone, we will try to make available as many. The end goal is to make as much of the available features here available on the phone. So again, we have covered all of these important features. And right now, I would like to thank you. Again, I encourage you, if you have some questions. Again, we only have a very limited amount of time. So if you want more details, if you want more questions, feel free to send it through the chat box right now that is in front of you. Or better yet, if you are already a CRM user, feel free to call up our PSA support team, raise your questions, and eventually it will find its way to me or any of the other CRM oriented trainers in Can-Am. At this point, I would just like to ask you to contact us, and I would also like to kindly request all of you to be able to give us some of your inputs related to these 4 questions over here. And one of the ways, and well, the only way that is by which you could enter this particular information would be also by putting in your answers to the following questions within the chat box that is available in your Zoom screen. So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.